Hello everybody. I want to move down to the next lab since I was able to get full connectivity on the last one. So this is 252. Normally I wouldn't go lab by lab, but these labs are getting more and more difficult as the semester rolls on. They're not really bringing any, they're not trying to bring switching into the WANs or WANs into the switching. They're trying to keep it separate. But in all honesty, true networks aren't like that, so you got to be kind of careful as to how you set them up. But I've already done the first two sections, so my network looks like this. I added a third connection in here, so that is all situated. Now it says configure interfaces, verify IP addressing, configure the Ethernet, test connectivity. They both work. Everything works. The thing now is to enable OSPF routing on the routers, verify they have full network connectivity, and then configure PPP, and then can verify that. So that's actually exactly what you do. You enable it, then you verify it. So you turn it on, then you do some show commands like show IP OSPF neighbor, show IP route, make sure it's routing correctly, and then it says to configure PPP and then verify it. You just do show interfaces, and then choose a way to break encapsulation. So you want to go to PPP and then type in no encapsulation PPP, because then it'll revert back to HDLC. And then you come down here and restore full connectivity. So they want you to not only know how to fix it, but be able to look through the configuration and pull it out. And then it's going to be configure PPP Chap authentication, and then verify it, then break it. So breaking it, I think that's going to be the more difficult part or fixing it, restoring it, is going to be the more difficult part, because there's no way to, that I'm familiar with, to do this in Packet Tracer reliably. And rather than, I was almost tempted to fire up GNS3 for this one because of the fact of, it's actually kind of complex is what they want. So what we're going to do is I got the routers up, and so what I'm going to do is I've renamed them and stuff like that. So I just saved the initial configuration. So this is the running config. It's all up and running. It's I can ping from here to here. So what we're going to do, this is how I would do it. Okay, so this is router. Why it's not showing up? R1 or R1. Sometimes it's easier just to do it that way, and then do an end and then write mem. The same thing as a copy run start. So write mem is just easier to type. So what I'll do is I'll do a show IP interface brief. This is how I'm able to determine what networks I'm going to route for. So knowing that I set up some networks on a /25 or a .128 subnet mask, I know that I'm going to route for just that particular range. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into configure OSPF. So I'm going to go config T router OSPF 1, and I'm going to type in network. I'm going to type in 10.0.0.0, and then what I'm going to do here, I'm going to go 0.0.0.127. Now why would I do that? Well, 127 is stating that, because if you look right here, that it's the /25. /25 is a .128 subnet mask. So that's how I know it's .127. If I do a 128, it's not going to work. It won't join its neighbors. So if I hit, then I have to hit area 0. So there, that took. So I'm going to type in, do the same thing, network for the next guys, and type in 172.16.0.0.0.3. What does .3 do? Well, anytime you get a 252, there's actually 4 hosts on that subnet. You've got your broadcast, or your base network, which is the 0, .1 and .2, which are your usable host IP addresses, and .3, which is your broadcast. So 0, 1, 2, 3 gives you your 4 ranges. So I type in area 0. That brings that up. Now you're not going to see anything. You're not going to see OSPF converging or anything like that, because I haven't configured it on the other routers. So as soon as I get it up and running, you'll start seeing it converge. So I'm going to type in network 172.16.0.8.3 area 0. So now I have that set up. Now I'm going to do I'm going to do a show IP route. So now everything's in here. It's not going to show up as OSPF yet. It's not going to do this show O here because of the fact that it's not routing that protocol yet. But if I do a show IP protocols, it's OSPF1 and it's routing for the 10 network, the 172.16 0 and 172.16 8 networks, because that was my show IP interface brief. I configured it based on what I had in my local router on this guy right here. So now that I have that, I'm going to move on to router 3 and go take care of that one. Bring up router 3, bring router 3 into the mix, do a show, actually let me go to config, type in R3, and then go back to the command line, do an end, and do a write mem. I'll do show IP interface brief. Okay, now I know what I'm going to be configuring here. I'm going to type in config t router OSPF1 and then network 10.0.0.0.128 0.0.0.127 area 0. So after a couple of seconds it should, well, it's not going to, because it's that's PC1 here. It's not going to start routing for that one yet because I haven't made an adjacency with this guy, because this interface right here is directly connected to this router. So I'm going to type in network 172.16.0.4 .3 area 0, and then network, because that's this network right here, that's why. 172.16.0.8 0.0.0.3 area 0. So that should converge here in a second. Yep, and there it goes. So now I have OSPF up and running on this router, so I'm going to do an end and do a show IP route. Now you see OSPF has converged for the 10 network, the 117.16.0 network, the /30, and that's it, because those are the only routes it knows about. So if I do a show IP protocols, it's routing for the 10.0 network, which is this guy right here, the 172.16.0 network. There's 4, and because the 4 is right here, the 8 is here. So I've covered the 8 networks, this network, and this network. So I'm going to do a write mem. So if I accidentally power cycle the router, it's not going to blow up on me. Now, did I do this one already? Show IP interface brief. Yes, I did. I already configured them over. So I'm going to do the same thing with this guy. And I'm going to do a config t router OSPF1 network 172.16.0.4 0.0.0.3 area 0, and then that should converge right real quick. There it goes. So same thing with this guy, .8, or actually .0, because it's this network here. I've converged for this one, and I need to converge for this one. Now you're not going to see it do another, it shouldn't do another adjacency. Or it might, I don't remember. I probably won't. Well, no, okay, it did, because it's another adjacency. Because each interface of a router is another subnet, so subnet, subnet. Now, you might be wondering, well, are you going to do the one for this one? I very well could, but I'm going to do an exit. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to type in a default route. I'm going to type in IP route, 209.165.200.160 and 255.255.255.224, and the next hop IP address because I actually haven't done this, I can either do the next hop, actually, .224, or I can type in the interface here. And that's actually what I'm going to do on this one. I'm going to show you why the, what are my options? Serial 0/1/0. There. Now if I do an end and do a show IP route, I can see the 10.0 network. You know, the ones I can see these guys down here. And now this is R2 right here, and I'm seeing routes for here. This guy and this guy. I can see the route between. Actually, I can see this route right here, which is the 172.16.8 network. Because OSPF, when you do an adjacency with every other router, or with every router in your network, what it does is it takes a picture. A picture, I guess you could say a picture would be a good analogy too. But what it does is each router sends all the other routers its routing table. And so what that does, what happens at that point is it takes this router right here, sends this guy its routing table. Then this guy runs the OSPF algorithm, the shortest path first algorithm, the Dijkstra algorithm as it's known as, to find out who's its best routes in the network. Because each router is going to have a different best path to each network. Because, well, if I live in Racine and I work in Milwaukee, my best path to Milwaukee, or say Brookfield where I work, is going to be different than somebody that lives in Milwaukee to Brookfield. You see what I'm saying? So depending on where you're at, your best path to a destination will be different than somebody else's best path based on their geographic location. So that is why you have OSPF routing for the local subnets, and then all of the other networks connected. Now, you're saying, why is it showing connected on the 4 and the 0 network? Well, because they're directly connected. It doesn't need to route to them. What it will do, however, if I go to router 1 and do now see how it shows it learned a 209.165 network via OSPF. Even though it's we'll do a show IP route, and then as you can see, it knows about the 172.16 this network via this interface. Okay, so it knows how to get to this network through this guy right here. Okay, so it actually has to recurse to this interface. So that's why whenever you're setting up, now will it ping to that interface? Probably not, because the fact that this interface right here is not configured in the same subnet. This guy has it on here, but this guy is not, so you won't be able to get to this router. And I did that on purpose. But so now can I let's do a trace. Actually, you know what? Let's take the 2 seconds to hold on 1 second. Let me show IP interface brief. 225. That's why I'm still on that subnet. I didn't flip it over. I'm just looking over here my sheet because I copied it down verbatim. Let's loop back. That's why. 32. Let me pause the video real quick. I'll be right back. Okay. What I did was I wasn't sure why it wasn't coming up, and then for whatever reason, Packet Tracer is kind of funny when you try to redistribute a static route into OSPF. So what I did was I just added it in, and now you're seeing it be your router 1. And so let me bring over this guy, and then let's go 162, and I should be able to ping config physical. Oh, because there's no actual. Let's go to command line and see if I can ping. Let's do end, and let's ping 10.0.0.10. Oh, is that the IP address? Excuse me. It is. Anyway, so moving forward, I'm not really going to worry about that right now. What I'm going to do now is, now that I have OSPF and I have full reachability, configure PPP on all the interfaces. So that's actually really simple to do. We're gonna, actually, you know what? Now that I'm thinking about this, let me show interface 0, 0, 0. HDLC, and that might be why. What's R2's? Show interface serial 0, 0 slash 1 slash 1 slash 0. HDLC. Interesting. It's just weird the way it won't come up. Anywho, I'm not going to worry about that right now because I have other things to do. I want to get this lab done so I can keep moving forward because it's already 3 in the afternoon and I have probably 8 hours worth of work to do to try to get this semester done with. So, anyway, moving forward, configure PPP. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a show interface serial 0 slash 0 slash 1. And it is invalid. Oh, it is PPP. Same thing with it is PPP. So good, we're good there. That's R2 is done. Then we're going to come over here and do the show interface serial 0 slash 0 slash 0. It is PPP, and same thing with it is PPP. Good deal. R1 went to sleep on me. Cisco enable class CLASS. Oh, you know what? That's my fault. I always use Cisco for all my passwords. So I'm going to do show interface 0 0 slash 1 slash 0 PPP, and then zero. It is PPP as well. And the reason it's working is because everything is encapsulated the same. So, choose a way to break it. I mean, you can do that anyway, and that's just a matter of turning HDLC back on or doing a no shut and a shut. But I found that when you do anything like that, it gets kind of hinky with coming back up. That's just Packet Tracer as being a software simulator. So we're just gonna go in and we're gonna configure Chap, and so this is R3. Now hold on one second. I need to check on something real quick. Okay, I paused the video for a little bit because I was having an issue with bringing authentication up, and what I had to think about it for about a couple minutes and be like, why is it not working? I couldn't figure it out. But after playing with it for a few minutes, I finally realized what I was doing wrong. And basically what needs to happen is, I had to adjust my headset real quick, so pardon me. Basically what needs to happen is this. When you're setting up your configuration, I had to go in and do a show run. You have to set up a username for every router you're going to connect to. So it has to be locally significant. So this is R1, so I had to set up username R1, password 0 Cisco. It's going to be clear text. So by doing that, I was able to configure PAP. Now I'm going to configure PAP and get it up and running. I'm going to try Chap after that and see what happens, because I've never actually set that up to actually work. So we're going to learn together. So on R1, on the what is this? 0000. So go back up to 000, and I don't have it set up for that yet. I have 001/0, and that's already connected, as you can see right here. It connected. So I'm gonna pull up R2, or actually R2 is running. Oh, that's something else. So it's neighbor down. So I'm gonna configure neighbor 2 right here, and you're gonna be able to watch as this happens. So I'm gonna go config t interface 00000 and type in PPP authentication PAP, and there it goes. It goes down, and then if you type in PPP PAP sent user, this is R1, so R1, and then you're going to type in password 0 Cisco. So now that's just to let, that's more of a, hey, this just so you know. So I'm doing the same thing. I'm going to do a interface 0/0/1, do PPP authentication PAP, PPP PAP sent user R2 pass 0 Cisco. Now it's going to really stink if this doesn't work. Now it might be the username and passwords might be flipped, which I think they are. Let's try doing that real quick. Type in R1, and same thing with this guy, R2. Let's see what happens here. Because now notice how this didn't, that didn't pop up. So I think I might be onto something there. R2, and there they go. They came up, and the adjacencies and OSPF should come up in a second. So if you're on R1 and you want to connect to R2, you have to use the other routers authentication. There they come. They're up and running. It's just a matter of making sure you have the right username and the right passwords. So now I have PPP PAP going across the links, and this is R2, so I'm going to leave R2 sitting here. I'm going to move R1 down. I'll slide this one over, and I'll pull up R3, because R3 is kind of just chilling here going, I'm here, but no one else is playing with me. R2. So I'll bring this guy in. Actually, I'll probably be better off if I do it this way. And there we go. Windows 7, you gotta be careful, because if you push it all the way to the top, it tries to go full screen. So what I'm gonna do is config t and do show IP interface brief, and then I know for a fact that this guy is the 4 network, so 500, and do show IP interface brief, and 6 is 00. So I'm gonna have to go interface 00/0/0 and do PPP authentication PAP. Now it's gonna bring down, well, it should, unless it's already PPP PAP sent user. Sent user. This is R2 pass 0 Cisco. Now, thinking that I have, okay, it's just and then we're gonna go interface 00/0/0. We're gonna type in PPP authentication PAP PPP PAP sent user R3 pass 0 Cisco. There it goes. Now the warning here is because I think you can run Chap as well. But now that I've figured out the parameters for everything to work, now everything's authenticating. So bringing the 252 back over here, as soon as I can drag it over, the 252 back over, that's configuring. Now that's PAP. I'm going to do Chap here in a second. Intentionally break it. Now I've broken this before, and I've had issues bringing it back up. Now that I've figured out how some of it works, maybe it'll work a little. Alright, well, basically I played with it just for a second, and I converted the interface is on R3 to R2 from from PAP to Chap, and it came right up as soon as I had changed the authentication mode over, which I will do the same thing with this guy. And then this is R1, so I'm going to go into interface. In serial, you can't do a range command like you can in fast Ethernets. So I think I'm in serial 000, which is the interface to R2. So I'm going to try to go, I'm going to do, if you just take this, or type in PAP and go Control A and type in no, and then do an up arrow, and type in Chap, it'll take down the connection, but as long as you're in, yeah, see, it just detached it, and then I'm still in interface 00 on this guy, so I'm going to type in, I'm going to go up arrow, right, and this is 001, yep. I gotta go into 1 and type in no PPP PAP, type in this, and then they should come right back up. Theoretically. Anytime. Maybe I'm just being impatient. You know what? Let's see here. Oh. Oh, well, should be the same no matter what. I know this guy's working. Right? Yeah, this guy's working. Gotta love Cisco, right? Show IP interface brief. The other one down is this guy, which is connected to R1 serial 000. So, interface, or actually, let's do a do show. Actually, Control U clears and show run 000 is Chap. Well, that doesn't make any sense. Why is it like that? Show run. Let's compare configs. This is serial. This is the interface pointing to R1. This is the interface pointing to. Or wait a minute, right? 001 on R1. .1 PAP Chap. So if you compare side by side, this is R1, this is R2. These are the interfaces right here. And they're identical. Unless I don't have a that doesn't make any sense to me. What am I missing? R1, R2, R3, R1, R2. Oh, you know why? I don't have a username for that one. Config T user R1 pass 0 Cisco. There it goes. That's why. Show. There it goes. And now they're running. So it doesn't matter what you're running. This is R2 to R1. This is R1 to R2, and they're working. So now I have full connectivity. So now I'm going to go from R1 to R3 now, and if you don't have a database, a login local database set up for it, it's going to have a hard time getting there. So this is 0010 on both of them. So I'm going to go config T interface 00/1/0, type in PPP authentication is PAP, which I know it's running. I'm going to do Control A, type in no, which should bring down the neighbor if there isn't already a neighbor there. I'm going to type in interface 00/1/0, type PPP authentication PAP, and Control A no, and type in PPP authentication Chap, and there it goes. And then unless it must have already been running it, that's why I pulled it up so fast. So if you do show run and 010 PAP encapsulation, oh, you know why? I have to, because this one is do show run. See, it's already running it, so I have to turn it on here. So PPP authentication Chap. So this one's up now too. So this one's running it. This one's running it as well. R1 to R2, and then that's just weird. After pausing the recording, I was able to go through and make sure that connectivity is back up and running. The one thing that I noticed that when I was doing do a show run, since you have connections to 3 routers, 2 different links, you have to have usernames for each one of those routers in order for it to come up and work. So when you're sending your information across the wire, you need to make sure you have the right username in there. So if you have 10 routers, you're going to have 10 usernames put in here, depending on what's going to be what and stuff like that. But now, the very last task in here is to break and restore PPP Chap authentication. You've already seen me work through going from PAP to Chap, and that's basically the same thing as going to restoring connectivity to something. So I really don't see a reason to go through all that just to prove a point. So excuse me, I'm going to leave it the way it is. It's a 30-minute video, so it walks you step by step through. If you have any questions, rriker82@yahoo.com, rriker82@yahoo.com. So shoot me an email, and if you have any questions or anything like that, and I will upload these videos later on. It'll probably take a couple hours to get them all situated, but I'm going to move on. The troubleshoot one is next, which actually the 252 one, you really don't need to, there isn't anything to really type in here. This is more of an in-class lab, but it doesn't say, like, document the router configurations, disconnect the, this is like if you were in class, but for the most part, 252, you really don't have to worry about trying to fill out the documentation. Just a matter of being able to verify what you've got set up. So I'm going to do a write mem and save the configs, because if you don't do that, and something below R1, R2, bring up R2, and do write mem. There. Now I can close all this out. I have connectivity to everything. I'm going to do a file, save pkz as. I'm going to go to my save area and back up once, and I'm going to type this in as 252 so that I don't accidentally send in 252 for the switch, which I've actually done all the labs for all the other switching stuff already. So if you have any questions on that, give me a shout. We'll go from there. So now this is saved and we're good. So onto the Tshoot one, which is 253. Close that one out. Now, this one's going to be, what she does, or what Cisco does, anyway, is they give you this, and they tell you, going based on this right here, you have to figure out what's broke, which any good technician or engineer should be able to go through this and relatively quickly. No fair queue, that's QoS. so you don't have to worry about that. Now, now we're out of the gate. I'm seeing that PPP authentication path. There's no sent username underneath it for it to validate. So that's going to be something you're going to have to look through and make sure that you do. And then same thing with this guy. I see PAP, and this other one's you run in Chap. So you'll have to, and then it's encapsulation PPP, and then you have to make sure that the IP addresses are in the right subnets. So that's basically the easiest way for you to go through and find and correct the network errors, document the corrected network. Once you've corrected them, I don't load this into the routers to try to figure it out. I just go through, compare to what I have, and then I just copy and paste in what it should be, and then I save it, and she can do a side-by-side comparison to see what's up. So usually I wait until the end. I get all my config done, and then I do that. 351. This is going to be frame relay. It's actually a point-to-point connection, and that's actually going to be really simple. I've already described frame relay, but I'll go through it again and explain how frame relay works, why it's a layer 2 technology like MPLS, and what a MAC address is compared to a DLC and stuff like that. DLCI, which is the DLCI right there. And then I haven't gone through the rest of the labs to see what I've got coming up, but I'm going to take a quick peek to see what we got coming, and you'll hear some videos from me about the rest of the semester, and I'm hoping to knock out the rest of the config stuff tonight. Not get all of the labs done, but all the config stuff, so that it's just a matter of tweaking the labs as I go through. So I hope this has been informative for you, and I'd like to thank you for viewing.